Hello, welcome to No Apologies on Beck, where we are unafraid to speak the truth. I am your host, Rick Becker, our co-host, Lori Hintz.
Good to be here.
Good show. We've got a very interesting guest tonight.
We do.
A property tax activist.
So, yep, that's right. That's hard for you to
Activist.
say, yeah, tricky. But we're going to start off the night tonight, though, by talking a little bit about the Supreme Court of the United
Yes.
States, or SCOTUS.
Yes, and it's particularly interesting because of President Trump's appointments, which has really changed the look of the Supreme Court.
The whole dynamic.
Absolutely. So, and we've seen that. We've seen this change in recent cases just in the last year with some of the religious freedoms when it comes to the churches wanting to have congregations in the context of the governor's mandates and so forth, leaning in favor of religious freedom. That I think has been fantastic.
Very, very, very true. And, you know, of course, with the addition of Gorsuch and then Kavanaugh and now Amy Coney Barrett, you've got a completely different look to the Supreme Court. So I suspect that there will be some things. I made that in my prognostications the other night, too. And I said, you know what? We probably are going to see some different types of rulings in the Supreme Court. Let's tackle this a little bit. Before we do that, I was looking at this article, and it was ABA Journal. In the article, Erwin Chemerinsky said he was talking about people predicting what's going to happen with the Supreme Court, and he brought up the fact that in 2019 he had kind of tried to prognosticate what was going to happen in 2020, and then of course COVID-19 pandemic, and then the death of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So everything was blown out of the water. This year may be the same too. We can predict all we want and look at some of the cases, but we have probably no idea what other things are going to happen in the world to probably throw a wrench into it. So just that's my hedging my bets a little bit there in advance. So, okay. So we're going to talk about some of the different things. First of all, gay rights and religious liberty. That is a subject that has come up before, but now it'll be before the court. The case is particularly Fulton versus Philadelphia. It is the latest chapter in an ever-escalating fight between the two groups, and religious protections for religious groups. And this one talks about the Catholic Church and the fact that the church's teachings do not recognize gay marriages as legitimate. And because of that, then the rights of gay couples seeking to raise their children comes into it. And then you've also got the counter that the First Amendment right to practice their beliefs is being questioned. So that's the first one.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. And of course, with the new makeup, it probably looks to be more favorable for, again, the religious freedom.
I'm hoping we shall see it. The multiple justices pointed out that although that the Catholic group didn't recognize gay marriage, it had never really actually encountered a situation where they had refused to work with or work with a gay couple. And Brett Kavanaugh had a really interesting observation on this too. He says it seemed like Philadelphia was looking for a fight, which is possible too. It seems like that's very, very, very probable. Moving on to the constitutionality of Obamacare. Now this is a hot button.
Yeah. So the Supreme Court took it up in 2012. And at that time said it was constitutional because the individual mandate they declared was actually
a tax.
And which I was shocked. I was with Chief Justice Roberts. I can't tell you how floored I was, how disappointed I was to essentially say that no activity is commerce, and that a mandate to do something, a mandate to participate in a type of commerce can be construed as a tax.
That was goofy.
So that you can be compelled. Blew me away.
It made no sense to
But
me
then
either.
in 2017, thanks to President Trump, thanks to Congress, they got rid of the individual mandate. So
they took the guts out of it, essentially.
They absolutely did. And so now it's going to come back. Texas has a lawsuit, and they're going to be looking at that because if it's no longer a tax, if the tax isn't there because Congress got rid of it, then everything else falls apart because the tax isn't there to support it, so you can't be compelled to do it. And I find it's a different note than what this lawsuit does, but just the way Obamacare functions, if you get rid of the individual mandate, outside of legal ramifications, it falls apart because there's nothing to hold it together. Because the way Obamacare works is you have to be compelled, you have to be forced with the individual mandate. You're mandated to get it.
Right.
Because if you don't, what happens is the healthiest people will say, well, Obamacare is expensive. It's crazy with the $5,000, $10,000 deductibles. I'm healthy. It's so extremely unlikely I'm going to need it this year. So they don't buy it.
Right.
Then what happens is you have people that are just not quite as healthy are the only ones left. So they require more services. The cost of Obamacare goes up, which then makes the next line of people saying, well, I'm mostly healthy. This is crazy expensive. I'm going to skip it this year, which means that the people left in the pool are sicker yet. The costs go up. And so you have to have, if you're going to have Obamacare, you have to have a mandate.
Right.
So I got on a sidebar
No,
there.
but
I
that's
think,
no. It's going to be interesting to see how they rule on that too. Is it constitutional or not? That's the main question.
Right.
And forcing somebody to do something, in my mind, does not seem constitutional. Freedom. I don't know. Freedom.
Yep.
So, all right. Another thing that the Supreme Court of the United States is going to be taking up is compensation for college athletes. No,
it's ridiculous.
it is.
I don't care if they get compensated or I just don't give two hoots. But why is the Supreme Court looking at this?
That's a good question.
Why, in what realm is this something that the federal government, the Supreme Court, should be looking at? It's a private organization.
Well, and the NCAA is trying to keep it out of the courts. That is the goal. They just don't want it anywhere in there. And it makes sense.
It's a private organization.
Right.
They should do whatever they want. If they want athletes to be paid, do it. If they don't, don't. If the Supreme Court takes this up, I'm going to be disappointed.
Well, I would not be surprised that they will take it up because they're taking up things that I don't want them to take up, and then they don't take up. All right, anyway.
I wish they would take up the Georgia
Right?
election.
Yeah, whatever. Okay,
lawsuit.
so yeah, that's coming up. Yeah, tomorrow's the day. Anyway, so legal protections for software code. This is an interesting one, too, because the court heard arguments in October and indicated that it is seeking a solution by which it can protect software code, so intellectual property, if you will, without upending the entire tech industry. So that'll be a touchy one, too, because things have changed over the years. You know, with smartphones exploding all over the place, it really changes the dynamic.
Well, it was a huge lawsuit years ago when Oracle took it up against Google, and since then, I mean, it's just been logarithmic as far as the expansion and the money involved.
Exactly.
And as I understand it, there are other tech companies that are kind of jumping on board saying Google's a bad actor. They took stuff from us too, and so they're all on board with Oracle. So we'll see.
It'll be interesting to see.
there.
Also, another one of the items that they are talking about bringing up during the Supreme Court 2021 docket, if you will, is reparations for Holocaust survivors. And this is an interesting one to me, too, because American courts typically kind of avoid that sort of reparations thing. That just...
Well, it's from another country.
Right.
Yeah, this is a weird one to me. I'm not sure. That seems like you're opening up a can of worms. Because not only that, but what standing does the United States have to say, hey, Germany, pay these guys?
Right.
I mean, we could just as well have Belgium saying, hey, America, pay, for slavery.
Yeah, it's goofy. Does it seem like these items are all over the board and
They
seems
are
like
all
a
over
really
the board.
weird docket too? There's no real consistency in any of the court cases, and it seems like they're very fringe. They don't seem like, do you know what I'm saying?
They run the gamut.
It's odd. Anyway,
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see now with the new makeup of the court
Right.
to see
Trump
what happens.
put in over 230 justices.
That is fantastic, and
I mean,
especially in all those. What's really odd to me is that Obama left that many vacancies. What was the purpose of that? You know, I mean, what's the?
Well, because he didn't think that Trump was going to win.
So he just figured he was going to let Hillary do it, and that was.
So that's going to be one of the most important things from the Trump presidency is that those court appointments, the judgeships, and I mean, fantastic. Trump did a lot of other good stuff, deregulation. I mean, so much. But what's going to stand for decades to come are all of these judge appointments. 3 Supreme Court justices. This will go on for decades to come. These are young justices as well.
That's very true, and they're going to be on the bench for a really long time. That is definitely the Trump legacy.
It's
so,
fantastic.
when we come back, we will introduce you to a guest we have here to talk about property taxes. That's next.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef in all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
With 68 years of experience serving our members, Hometown Credit Union is the smart choice for all your banking needs in Colm, Ashley, Hazleton, and now our brand new location in Lincoln. We offer auto, home, personal, and agricultural loans, CDs, IRAs, safety deposit boxes, checking and saving accounts, and more. Be sure to check out our convenient drive-through ATM as well. For great value and small town service, look no further than Hometown Credit Union.
Beck News brings you real people and real news. Every weekday on KNDB, KNDM, and KRDK. Start your evening with the Dr. Duke Show at 4. Take a fresh look at current events with Ladies of Another View at 4:30. Go down the road with Joel at 5:30. Watch No Apologies with Becker at 9. Cap off your night with No Filter with Debbie at 10. Beck News. Real people, real news.
Some things in life are hard. That's why banking shouldn't be. Cornerstone Bank.
And we're back with No Apologies on Beck. We've got a great guest. We're going to be talking about property tax. Wayne Papke has been an activist with regard to property taxes for years and years and years. I've known Wayne on this front at least for several of these years. Welcome, Wayne. Thank you very much for joining us. We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
So just to get started, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got involved, and I guess where things started for you with regard to property taxes.
Back in '95, I had a dispute over valuation on my newly constructed property, and it roused my curiosity so much as to the process of what to do to fix it. I became a real good student of property taxes, and I dove into it with both feet, and I've been at it ever since. So since '95, I've been doing it. I've been lobbying up at the legislature and locally in Mandan and Morgan County that's been about since 2005.
Okay.
Right about the advent of the schools funding when it started.
Yeah. Were you involved in 2012 with Measure 2 to eliminate the property tax?
No, and quite honestly, I never was sold on that. I just, I wasn't a big proponent of that. In fact, I was recently at a meeting of a group that's really trying to restart that again, and I told them the same thing. You got to have the solutions up front, and you have to really explain what's going to backfill it. And they didn't have that at that point in time, in my opinion. Whatever. But anyway, during that was an interesting one because at that time, the League of Cities and the Association of Counties and every legislator and whatnot was out there beating the street going, no, keep it local, keep it local, keep it local. And this is not a legislative thing. as I said, we have 53 sections of our century code and covering 29 pages. You tell me that the legislature is not involved with property taxes.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, that's the key. Is I hate that answer when they keep doing that. That's just not right.
Now, we are on the cusp of a new legislative session here. Any ideas on things that are in the hopper, so to speak?
I was obviously not very effective these last few years because going into it, I just did a survey, and right now, I don't believe there's a single bill introduced on property tax. Not a single one.
You're telling me there's 53 sections on there already? They pretty covered it already.
Covered it, what they should be doing is eliminating.
Right.
Many of those were 1950, 1960 legislation that really have no place today anymore again. So anyway, there is no bills out there. If I were to say what would I like to see yet in the waning hours here before bill introduction is cut off is basically at this point, I want the legislation to become serious about it. And I'm not a big fan of studies, but I'd like them to do a study at this point in time on the laws surrounding property tax from the century code standpoint. In other words, I think those need to be gone through by a study group and just basically they make some recommendations for the next session to address them. I think it's very important. Because until that, the legislation doesn't seem to be sold on the fact that they should address it at all. I think this is the way of doing it.
Agreed. Now, you and I have agreed that reform of property tax is what we need to look at. Now, I'm also a proponent for elimination. I think property tax is immoral. If the government taxes your property, and if you don't pay it, they can take the property away from you. It means that you're essentially paying rent. You don't own it. So, but given that, the difference between reform and relief, because since I've been in the legislature, it's primarily been so-called relief. So can you expound on that just a little bit?
The relief came, and this started in 2005 with the school's funding. That was a relief package. It basically took tax money from the oil industry and paid it other tax money to these schools. You got a tax paying a tax. That to me is immoral to start with. That's how they did it. Relief bills, ever since that, have gone through the same concept. Tax money paying tax money. All they're doing is they're funding a bad thing to start with. So you're basically feeding fuel to the fire, if nothing else, by basically funding more money to try and fix it. Reform comes to the fact that they could take those 53 sections of the Century Code, throw them in the garbage, and start all over. That'd be the real true reform. And that's what's kind of needed is I would like to see many of those things happen. Only one piece, to my knowledge, and this actually started in Morton County. I commend them and the county commissioners. They enacted the Human Services bill where they took county social services, which is mandated and run by the state, but yet it was budgeted and paid for by the county. Why? And so they got that passed to enable them to take that out of the county budget, which reduced our mills, for example, by about 20 mills. Move that over to the state budget. Now, they're still housed there. They still give them space and everything, but they're not paid for by the county anymore. That, to me, was a good reform idea.
Now, property taxes have gone up steadily over the last 10 to 15 years. So what's the problem? Is it a dangerous rate, or what's the... I'm playing devil's advocate here because I'm not a big fan of them going up. Thank you.
There's not enough public involvement. That's the
people are
reason.
apathetic?
Yeah, very much so. It's unfortunate. The other thing is when your bill only goes up a couple percent, 2-3% a year, you're kind of okay with that. People get complacent, very complacent. Yet they don't realize property taxes should be about 30-40% less today than they actually are.
Right.
So it's not a matter of being up, increases. It's a matter of you should have had major decreases in your property taxes. The reason why is in Morton County, for example, our valuations for residential went from 14 million in 2000 to 65 million of taxable valuations in 2020. You have a lot more money coming in here. I mean, even though the mills have come down, but they haven't come down proportionally. So you've got a lot more money. You've got a lot more neighbors sharing that cost of property tax. You know, it doesn't cost double to have, for police protection, to have twice as many people. You get economies of scale out of it.
Right.
Exactly.
So they
Wayne,
haven't. So what they've been doing though is
Hold that thought, Wayne.
Yeah.
Hold that thought. We're
Very
going to
good.
come back. We're going to do another segment. Let you continue there. We're going to talk about some other ideas with regard to property tax. Stick with us, folks. More interesting stuff coming up.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
In southwestern and south central North Dakota, on any given day at any given moment, a Dakota Community Bank and Trust customer is logging in or signing on to do their online or mobile banking. We believe that community banking can blend both the past with down-home customer service in-house and the future with modern banking conveniences and technology for our customers anywhere, like here or here, all while honoring our long-standing tradition of community-first oriented banking here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust.
My wife was diagnosed with early stage Alzheimer's. We talked about it and we kind of decided we'd be a little bit proactive and try to start making provisions. So we started looking here, and Eventide worked out to be pretty much the perfect answer. I guess I didn't expect it to be so nice. The staff here are terrific. We enjoy it.
They say when the going gets tough, the tough get going. At OK Tire, we're here to keep you going. From Firestone tires and replacements to retreads and even Firestone tracks, we have you covered. Our certified Firestone experts are ready to get you back up and running, no matter if you're on site or in the field, saving you time and money. OK Tire, we keep the tough going.
The professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Welcome back to No Apologies on Beck, your after hours oasis of sanity in discussing property taxes tonight. I'm your host, Rick Becker, our co-host, Lori Hintz.
Thank you. And
our wonderful guest, Wayne Papke. We're talking about property tax. One point you made last time was how, and I'm just going to rephrase it, and I think that it's important for viewers to hear. When government does relief, what they're doing is subsidizing. And whenever you subsidize, you get more of it. For instance, when the state provides more funds to college students, it's a subsidy of the cost of college. It allows colleges to backfill. That's exactly what we see going on and was predicted with local counties and cities backfilling because the cost is subsidized. And so then what you have, Wayne, you and I were discussing earlier, you've got taxes that go up maybe less than they would have otherwise, which is nice, except for the fact that it's being funded. The property tax is being paid for in part by other taxes that people are paying, and so it's hidden. So I just wanted to be able to say that. But you were talking last time, and Laura, you had a question.
I wanted to ask a little bit about the history of legislation and how it has changed over the years.
Back in the early 2000s, you recall, if you own property, then we began a runaway freight train on property taxes. There was escalations of very large numbers each year back and then. And as a result, it became one of the legislature's #1 topics that year. And as a result, they took advantage of it and used it to begin the school's funding issue. There was a couple of major legislators that were involved with that, and they again created a relief package, a subsidy for bringing down property taxes. So in fact, today, the impact is still great. It's about 30-35% of your property taxes are about 30-35% lower today, but they're really not lower because the state is funding that other 30%. So they're still paying it, you just aren't paying it all.
It's funny how the narrative is completely different from the reality, isn't it? That's interesting too. But for people who are interested, now, if you're going to get involved in some way, try to go at some point to lower your property taxes, maybe even completely get rid of property taxes at some point, how do you even go about that? Do people, I mean, the apathy is there, but how do people even get involved in that, Wayne?
I think you need to, first of all, sit down and read the Century Code, go and read your own local government home rule charters and all of their laws surrounding it. But then begin getting into the grassroots, which is about June every year. Cities, counties, park districts begin their process of the budget for the following year. And they have hearings, and these are all public hearings. Public can attend.
Are they attended?
No, I'm usually the only one there.
See, this is a problem right there.
And it is. It's an education problem. But you got to be willing to put the time in to educate yourself, to be formidable in this thing, because otherwise your opponents will be very formidable and you won't.
Well, when you go, what is it that you say and that you argue when you are at the meetings by yourself?
I will question them why something is needed. And they got to come up with a justification for it. Right off the spot, they might not. But they'll always come back to me at some point with some kind of a justification for it. But at least I challenge them on different line items. I've had some things thrown out where they've thrown it out of the budget just by being there. And so it works. Just you're not going to get 100% of what you want, but you will be effective in that. Get down to the budget hearings and go through your annual budget hearing process, which then is a public meeting for the whole city commission or the county commission. And that's where they discuss, the public can come in and discuss as a group the budget outlook for the new year, which will then determine a little bit how much their property taxes will be for the next year. That getting involved there is essential. The other thing I did was become, just like I say, a student of it with all of the information out there, whether it's Century Code or whether it's local government laws. Familiarize yourself with it, and then the more you do, the more you'll see the holes in it, I guess, so to speak, that need to be fixed.
I've got a question for you. So going forward, there's no property tax bills that you're aware of yet. I'm hoping to have one. Of possible reforms, what do you think about converting from mills to a straight percentage? Because we don't have time to get into it now, but there's a formula. And it ends up being that you're charged a number of mills. So what do you think of that? Do you think getting rid of mills and a straight percentage of people can see is a good thing?
It's been the biggest area of deception, let's put it the way out there. Your valuations go up, your mills should come down.
They
Because
should.
the formula is valuation times mills equal your tax. Well, they don't always go that way. So a lot of times your valuations go up and your mills go up, or at least stay the same. Many cases the mills stay the same. Get rid of this game potential. There is no need for mills and valuations. Just make it on a dollar basis only. Simple. Then the public can start to be less intimidated
So it
by
convert
this.
to a market value.
Market
And
value.
a percentage of the market value instead of mills.
Exactly.
So you know if you're paying 1% of the value of your house, or 0.8%, or 1.3%. Okay, next. What about, now just a quick recap. There are valuations, so somebody comes in, the assessor says, hey, your house is worth this much, and they change it potentially every year. So your tax amount could increase even though your tax percentage, your commissioners are going to say we didn't increase your taxes. If your house is assessed greater value, you pay more, even though you're not paying more tax, allegedly. So what do you think about putting a cap on valuations? And then the next question, follow-up after, what about a cap on a tax increase to a limit, we'll say 3%, and anything higher than that would have to go to a vote of the people? What about those two reforms?
Those are good areas. The other one I'd like to add to that is caps on their budgets. That's a good way of controlling the whole works.
Yep.
And right now, I think that's needed because we're in a runaway thing. Again, this year in Morton County and Manhattan, we were at 13%. Again, this year, the city. I mean, it's been 13, 12, 14, 15%. Those increases are way beyond the amount of inflation out there. So let's put some caps to just, if nothing else, rein it in until we have more solutions down the road.
Part of why their budgets are going up so much is because the money's been coming in from the state, in addition to increased property taxes.
Right.
So they're getting drunk on this level of spending, and the problem is what happens when that amount of money isn't there, which is actually literally occurring right now, because last time we had Operation Prairie Dog throwing money at cities and counties, that didn't come to fruition because of the low cost of oil. So now some legislators are wanting to borrow money to pay the cities and counties so that they can keep up that appetite of spending. So you're exactly right. That would be very interesting to have a cap on the budget to a certain percentage. Again, always we want to keep local control to a degree, and so you'd have to have a cap, but say before it goes to a vote of the people. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, in the last minute here, what can we do to slow the runaway train?
Get involved, visit with your commissioners, and you don't need to know a lot to say, why are my taxes going up so much? Why aren't they coming down? Because we've got so many more taxable units. We were told that Walmart exemption was going to create multitudes of lower property taxes because of their so them giving them all that. Guess what? Mine hasn't gone down a dime ever since Walmart. So it isn't going to happen. They get all these falsities. So
people just need to be vocal.
People need to be vocal to the local commissioners first. Morton County this year dropped their levy by 3%. They did a great job. That's unheard of.
Yeah.
The whole levy went down 3.2%. I commend them. I compliment Morton County.
Watch and learn, people. The rest of
Nobody else
them.
did.
Very good. Thank you
That's
so much for
fantastic.
coming, Wayne. We really appreciate your expertise on this issue. That's fantastic.
Yep.
And
Thank you very
thanks
much.
again. All right, when we come back,
Brain food.
Howdy, folks. It's the Caroline Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Boston breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar. Sink your teeth into our famous Caroline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spur rattling pie with a combo roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Since opening in Hebron in 1940, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been your hometown bank. Our mission has been to provide modern banking convenience with old-fashioned hometown service. We've grown with the communities we serve through year-round events, countless sponsorships, and nearly 7,000 hours of volunteering each year. Learn more about our 80-year history at dakotacommunitybank.com.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
For the greatest selection and full menu offering, it's the Four Seasons Restaurant and Ice Cream Parlor in Garrison. Succulent sandwiches, big breakfasts served all day, and delicious desserts. Easy access in and out for campers and RVs. The Four Seasons Restaurant at the top of Main Street, Garrison.
With 68 years of experience serving our members, Hometown Credit Union is the smart choice for all your banking needs in Colm, Ashley, Hazleton, and now our brand new location in Lincoln. We offer auto, home, personal, and agricultural loans, CDs, IRAs, safety deposit boxes, checking and saving accounts, and more. Be sure to check out our convenient drive-through ATM as well. For great value and small town service, look no further than Hometown Credit Union.
Some things in life are hard. That's why banking shouldn't be. Cornerstone Bank.
Welcome back to No Apologies on Back. It is our fourth segment, and it's time for
Brain food.
Brain food.
I love this
trivia.
because somebody actually at the gym to me the other day said, "Hey, I'm looking forward to another brain food," and he said it kind of with a wink, and I thought, "Yay! People are actually aware of our little
What's
trivia."
that? Why not?
So today I have no real major theme with my brain food, but it is the new year now and 2021. And so I was looking back a little bit and I thought I would find a word that described 2020 in a word. And it is enervate. This is the word, enervate. Enervate, as in enervated or enfeebled, means debilitated, feeble, frail, languid, sapped. I thought that was a perfect word. Sapped. After 2020, I was sapped, wasted, weak, weakened, wimpy, decaying, declining, failing, waning, dissolute. So that's what enervate means.
Interesting. That's not what I thought it meant.
Yeah, it's, these are synonyms of enervate. It's an adjective, and it's basically talking about demoralized. And I thought that was a perfect description of 2020. People were very, very, in many ways, demoralized.
Very interesting.
Yes, enervate.
Okay. My first little bit of brain food is an article I read. It's Article 2, Section 1.
Okay, all right.
And
I like this one.
This article was not in Reader's Digest, but it is the Constitution. And it is timely because we're still talking about all this stuff with electors. And there's been a big push to get rid of the Electoral College,
right.
one vote, one person. But if you look at what our framers said in the Constitution, each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct.
Now that's why that's highlighted, because that's
Yes.
the important part of it.
And well, it's particularly important in this specific election that we just had in November, because various states changed the laws, changed the rules, but it's not the states, meaning the legislature, it was the governors. And that's where a lot of the lawsuits derived from, is because it says in the Constitution, the legislature must make the rules in the manner that the legislature may direct.
It's amazing that it actually literally says legislature. I mean, there's no question, there's no ambiguity in that whatsoever.
No. It says a number of electors equal to the whole number of senators and representatives to which the state may be entitled in the Congress. And it's a very interesting way to choose the leader of your country. But again, gosh, we have to go back and think about the way the framers set up our country. It was an assembly of states. And so it made sense. This wasn't an election of as a democracy to pick the leader. The states picked the leader. The people in each of the several states picked who they wanted, and then those states come together. And that's the beauty of this thing, is without an electoral college, basically you have, I forget exactly who it is, but you've got California, Florida, and
New York,
Texas.
right,
New York,
Right.
rather, choosing the president.
Right. The biggies. Yeah.
Right.
And then
So-
we don't have, as a small state population-wise, nearly the
nothing.
representation. And it is.
Nothing.
It's the electoral college is an okay thing. I think it really is. And there are people who have been trying to dissolve it forever.
Yep.
But to me, I do think our framers were brilliant. They just were they had such great forethought and foresight to, expect that there were going to be problems.
Right. Let the states decide. And if the people in the state don't like the rules
Yep.
and laws on how their state chooses, then they can change it within their state.
Yeah. And representative. I mean, there's a reason they're called representative. There's a reason we're called a representative republic. So
absolutely.
So that was a really good brain food today. Thank you for bringing that up.
You're
That
so
was
welcome.
excellent. And now we're going to do another word. This is the opposite. This is my 2021 word this time, and the word is ameliorate. It's another word people probably haven't heard about before, but it's a transitive verb, and it means to make better or more tolerable. So I thought that was appropriate
Mitigate.
for 2021. In a sentence, medicine to ameliorate the pain. So it traces back to melior, which is a Latin adjective meaning better. So making things better. And I think we can be optimistic in 2021 that things could maybe possibly be better. So it was enervate in 2020 and ameliorate in 2021.
Gotcha. I like it. Nice transition.
Thank you.
My next bit of brain food comes from the same Reader's Digest article I was reading. This
Different
is,
article.
Some people might call it Amendment X. I prefer to call it the 10th Amendment in the Bill of Rights of our Constitution. And it says, the power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. This is
something in my brain says
critical.
interstate compact. Is this talking about the states having the ability to determine interstate?
Well, not specifically, but yeah, in essence.
I don't know why that popped in my brain.
The key here is that we have gone so far beyond what the framers envisioned. The powers not delegated to the United States in the so it's a negative, right? So
right,
if it
not
doesn't say
delegated.
that the federal government can do it, if it doesn't explicitly say it in the Constitution, then they cannot do it.
Right.
There is so little expressly stated in the Constitution. 95%, 99.9% of what the federal government does is not permissible according to the Constitution. The other thing, I could go on for
on just the Constitution.
segments,
right.
and just on the 10th Amendment.
No, exactly.
What is wrong in our country right now, the reason for the problem with the lack of civility in discourse, the problem with the whole red versus blue, all of it stems to the fact that we've lost the 10th Amendment as it was originally envisioned, anything close to it, because we have now then become more or less a country, not an assembly of states.
Do you think 1776 Project will help?
I hope so. I don't know. Anything can help because
I'm
can't
just
get
saying
much worse.
education about the 10th Amendment is the first step, is it
Yes,
not?
It is.
And,
And there
letting
is,
the
there
kids
is
know about it.
an organization called the 10th Amendment Center, of which I am a life member. But yes, it's 10th Amendment. Gotta read up on it. It is so important. And the governors of the several states need to embrace the 10th Amendment and demand it get returned something to how it was originally envisioned. So.
Excellent brain food as always. So on our next little segment here, we will be talking about DOT and road signs.
Yeah, Department of Transportation.
Howdy, folks. It's a Caroline Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Bossin' breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar. Sink your teeth into our famous Caroline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spur rattling pie with a combo roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
My wife was diagnosed with early stage Alzheimer's. We talked about it and we kind of decided we'd be a little bit proactive and try to start making provisions. So we started looking here, and Eventide worked out to be pretty much the perfect answer. I guess I didn't expect it to be so nice. The staff here are terrific. We enjoy it.
The professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Now is the best time to plan for your 2021 farm equipment needs. North Dakota-based Summers Manufacturing is currently offering early order savings. Take advantage of big savings on North America's broadest tillage line, including the Super Kohler Samurai and the innovative VRT Renegade, as well as the best-built, best-backed land rollers in the industry. Talk to your Summers dealer today or go to summersmfg.com to learn more about early order savings available on all Summers equipment.
Welcome back to No Apologies, our last segment of the night.
Yes.
And
this is an interesting one.
It's like it's a little nugget. It's a little nugget, but I think it's going to be interesting to talk about.
Interesting. So our topic is DOT road signs.
Yeah. Specifically, what they call dynamic messaging signs. So the signs when you're driving on the road, and they're the big electronic boards, and they have a message. Now,
changeable.
One I saw over the holiday season, and there's so many like this, they're kind of quirky. It said something about don't drink and drive or you'll be sorry, Y-U-L-E, like Yuletide, whatever. And there are a bunch like that. And they really stick in my craw.
Right.
Because to me, it just seems like government just overbearing. And then we had the mask up ND, all the various North Dakota Smart Restart hashtags that were coming on, and they flashed to us while we're driving.
It seemed very Big Brotherish to me too.
It's very Big Brother.
I thought the same thing. And it was like virtue signal. It was like, all right, I'm going to tell you what to do because I've got this platform. But I thought it was maybe a little overused too. I've thought the same thing when I've been driving, and I may or may not have yelled at them.
Oh yeah. So here's the scoop. This bothered me all the way back in 2014.
Wow.
So I put a bill into the legislature, which was a resolution for the legislature to ask the Department of Transportation to stop using the signs, those dynamic messaging boards, except for weather alerts, various road conditions, emergency, work zone, and then things like Amber Alert, Senior Alert,
Right,
stuff like
which
that.
is,
Forget
I
all
would
this other
assume what
stuff,
they
right?
were originally meant for, were they not? I mean,
Yes.
I'm thinking that that's probably the original intent of the road signs.
Right. Now, at the time, in 2015, there were 30 dynamic messaging signs. Right now, there are 46
Wow,
in the state.
I did not
Right.
realize there were that many.
Now, you said it felt like Big Brother.
Well, I
if you
did.
notice, one of the words I used, it's on line 14 there, says that it says, whereas these signs can be obtrusive, distracting, and Orwellian, when not used with proper discretion.
Orwellian.
I caught some slack.
Well done.
Yeah. So what we're talking about is George Orwell wrote several books, but one of them is 1984, and that is where Big Brother had a presence and was always sort of influencing your thought. And there were television screens here and there, and there are other dystopian movies and novels that have similar features. When I spoke in favor of the bill, which, by the way, it failed in the House.
In 2015?
In 2015. Never made it to the Senate. One of the things I indicated is how easy it is if we accept this, a government throwing these flashing signs as we're driving, and that's permissible without question, without even questioning that it may be government overreach. How much is it to say that the next step is to have some sidewalk signs? Where signs in the past have said, report drunk driving, call 911. Why not report other people breaking laws? Why not have, a snitch line on every corner of public streets flashing
Slippery
symbol beds?
slope. They're very well done.
So I decided, that was in 2015, I decided I'm going to give it a go again, because now we have the whole Mask Up ND. Maybe there'll be more interest. And that the number of signs have increased. They've gone from just being on weekends only to being throughout the week.
Right.
I think it's just way too far. I'm having them take out the word Orwellian because I caught flack for that.
But although it still fits.
But here's the thing, Lori, this is going to freak you out.
Oh, okay.
When I didn't even know this when I put the bill in, but the people from Department of Transportation, when they were testifying against the bill, sort of opened up a Pandora's box for me. The messaging that we have comes from the federal government, and it is a social norms campaign. Social norms campaign. They are actually telling us that they are modulating our behavior on a federal level vis-a-vis these dynamic messaging boards, in other words, digital road signs.
Red flag, people. Wow. I was going to ask you, I'm like, from where do all these messages come? Because they're so cute and they're supposed to be clever.
Click it or ticket. Click it or ticket. If you run click it or ticket on there, you get some federal money.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
So the federal government, again, in our lives every day. So,
why can't we just be North Dakota and not be beholden to that?
I know.
I think it's time to do
call
some
your
states' right
legislators.
stuff. Yeah,
Call your legislators and say, hey, if Becker does that board, the DOT board sign thing, vote yes.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. That's a great idea. Get to your legislators in your district. If you can't figure it out, there's a way to go to legis.nd.gov. I know this. I've gone there a few times. I actually, out of the top of my head, I'm like legis, legis.nd.gov, and you can find out what district in which you live, and you know who to contact. So if you don't know already from voting for them in last November.
A lot of people don't know their legislators.
Well, you know what? It's time. It's probably time to get, you know what? It is time to get people motivated to know that. And then you call that person, and you know what? You can email them.
Yep.
Emailing, how does emailing go for your legislators? Because I've emailed my legislators before and gotten no response at all.
Some don't respond very much. I respond to most. However, there will be sometimes we'll get a flurry, and it's a form letter.
Right.
And I'll get 50 of them.
Right.
I don't respond.
Right, when it's
if
all the
someone
same.
takes the time to write a personal email, I respond.
Got it. Well, that's a good tip for people to at least know, too. So keep it pithy. That's always a good thing. You know what? The shorter, the shorter the better. I say that with public service, too. You know what? The shorter the thing, the more likely it is to get aired. So,
yes. Yeah. So
that's a good idea. Call your legislators, write your legislators, tell them, okay, you know what, these signs are overreach, and I want you to vote in favor of this Becker bill.
Yeah, well, don't say Becker bill, because a lot of legislators will vote the opposite of
That's
what you
right.
want if you say
Okay,
it's a Becker bill.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. That's another good tip. Just skip that.
Don't bring up my name.
Don't
No.
don't bring up his name. Just mention, I don't know who's bringing up this bill, but
I heard about
I'm
it.
very annoyed by the signs, and they're coming from the government. I
Yes.
understand. That's all you need to say, right?
Exactly. There's a few. We should have a segment on every bill that I bring up.
Oh, I like that idea.
Which I've learned a lesson. In 2017, I had way too many bills. I was very, very, very ambitious, and so what I found is that you can drive yourself crazy being overworked and not sleeping, and you don't do as good of a job as if you had just done a few.
So keep it to a good limit, and then you can do your best job on it.
that I do no more than 10. I try and keep it in single digits for the number of bills that I'm
That is
prime
a good
sponsor
rule.
on.
That's a good rule with everything in your life. Keep it on the down.
KISS principle.
Absolutely. Excellent, excellent advice. So get in touch with your legislators and let them know no more signs on the roadways preaching to me.
Yeah.
Because that I just did not do well with that either. Like I said, I kind of yell at them sometimes in the car quietly myself.
All right.
Have you never yelled at your television? I've totally yelled at my television. So, all right, anyway.
You yell at road
okay,
signs.
before we go here, I have to say a really quick goodbye because I'm going to be making a little trip. I'm going to be going to the RNC winter meeting, which is coming up in Florida. And so because of that, I'm going to be out of the office just a little bit. So you are going to have a guest host in my chair, and I'm very excited about it. It's another LOAV, Lady of Another View. So you'll have another guest. And
I'll break her in.
yes, and you'll be talking also, of course, about the legislative session too. So we'll see you soon.
Beck News brings you real people and real news. Every weekday on KNDB, KNDM, and KRDK. Start your evening with the Dr. Duke Show at 4. Take a fresh look at current events with Ladies of Another View at 4:30. Go down the road with Joel at 5:30. Watch No Apologies with Becker at 9. Cap off your night with No Filter with Debbie at 10. Beck News. Real people, real news.